It's time for Taking Care of Business on Midlands 103. With thanks to the local enterprise offices of Leash, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and Let's Talk Business.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Taking Care of Business. I'm Ronan Berry, this is Midlands 103, and coming up over the next hour, late nights, branding decisions, local headlines and even a granny-approved validation. Noel Walsh introduces Solanti, a new Laois-founded brand bringing Himalayan salt electrolytes to Irish consumers through SuperValu. And I think we can add a few more to that list as well. Another brilliant Midlands innovation story coming to you very, very shortly. Also, we'll go from elite engineering to femtech innovation because Tullamore's Aonghus O'Donovan discusses his startup MyCelsius, a cooling bracelet built for hot flush relief, and the product design and the startup journey behind it. And also, I think I know the answer to this question, but could your business cut its energy bills without a major capital spend? Well, the answer one is actually yes. CEO William Walsh joins me to talk about the SEAI's Easy Wins campaign, practical savings for SMEs and the grants helping Midlands businesses invest in efficiency, solar and smarter energy use. All that is coming up on the show this evening, and if you want to be part of that conversation, the quickest and easiest way to get me is by text or WhatsApp on 083 3010 103, powered by the home of Offaly's top-selling car brand, Lamb Brothers Toyota, and the Arden Road in Tullamore. But this evening, there's only one place I'm going to begin, because tomorrow, more than 60,000 Irish students will begin their Leaving Certificate examinations, one of the biggest milestones in their young lives. And while the exams can feel all-consuming, many successful careers take unexpected turns after school. One person who knows that better than most is Jack Dunn from Portarlington, County Offaly, CEO of Dimply.ai, an award-winning global AI-driven technology company helping organisations make better business decisions through data and predictive intelligence. Jack's journey from the Midlands to leading a growing technology business offers a valuable perspective on careers, entrepreneurship and the many different paths that success can take. But let's go back a couple of years. Jack, when you hear the Leaving Cert is starting tomorrow, does it bring back any memories for you?
Indeed, Ronan, it does, and actually quite traumatic ones, if I'm to be honest with you. One of the key ones for me really was, so it's many moons ago since I did it, Ronan, back in the mid-80s, and I had a significant brain freeze in what was my best subject. So my best subject would have been maths and accounting. And the night before I had a bit of a brain freeze, but thought I was able to manage it. In the exam hall, it was beyond horrendous. I can still actually remember where I was sitting in the hall and who was sitting across from me. And you're watching all of these other students rigorously writing, and you're sitting there thinking, why am I here? I had no idea what was going on. And my mum was a huge fan of St. Martin. I had the relic around my neck, and I put my hand on the relic and I said, you got to help me here, because otherwise I'm leaving in 20 minutes, when the first 30 minutes is up. And I don't know what came over me, Ron, but I just started to breathe. I started to kind of hold my breath and then deep breathly hold it and then breathe out. And then all of a sudden I was getting this kind of, release or an energy. And that's when I realised actually I could control that panic between my heart and my brain. I came out with the best results in my maths at the end of it, but I still have that vivid feeling of fear of I'm going to fail my Leaving Cert, because I just panicked in the exam and thought I knew nothing. I'm told my body was telling my brain, you don't know this. So very, very traumatic. And 40 odd years later, it still sits with you.
So you threatened St. Martin that you had a 20-minute time limit. How long did it take for you to get the breath under control? Because you obviously had the work done, you had studied, it was your favourite subject and one, but you'd also maybe put a lot of pressure on yourself to do well in.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably the most of it was the pressure, the self-pressure. All I asked him was for a little bit of help. And it was more that it was my mum's faith in him than it was anything. And I thought, okay, well, this is his time to shine. Now, whether he did guide me or not, but up to that point, Ronan, I wouldn't have been into breathing. As in, I wouldn't have understood I can control the behaviours of my body through, deep breathing. It's like, so 4 deep breaths in, pause, hold it for 4, and then release it. I didn't understand that back then, and it's called box breathing, but obviously I now have done a huge amount of work in breathing. But I think what happened was I took control. So the breathing allowed me to take control. So I had lost all. It was fight or flight in reality. So I got into this chaotic situation that I thought, I don't know what I'm doing here. Instead of that, the breathing allowed me just to focus. And I still use it to this day. Yeah. Difficult times I use it.
And to focus on yourself and maybe not look at the people all around you, because, who knows, they could have been in equally as dire a situation as you were.
Absolutely. And Ronan, that's something that was really prevalent to me that day. I had a strong awareness of I am the most important person here because it's for me. So this is my Leaving Cert. This is for me. This is my future. This is the start of a journey. You know, it's my adulthood and me going out into the world of study and career. So I had this really strong realization after the breathing was, this is about you, Jack, not anybody else. So it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing because they're on that same journey, but it's their journey. Just like, you know, our own legacy is our legacy. So the same thing. So at the age of 17, to have that realization, I was, it was pretty profound.
And it stood to you well since. You mentioned how you still referred or think back to that time when you're making big decisions, because as the CEO of Dimply, undoubtedly there are some big ones. You've picked up multiple awards across the globe over the last couple of years. Just give the listeners a sense of the scale Dimply's at now and what you're currently working on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. We are. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. But, you know, my mantra really is around time as a currency, and we've got to, you know, basically manage it effectively and don't drift into or pivot into areas that are not the right areas. So we stay very focused to our strategy in Dimply, and that has really paid off. You know, we were ahead of where other firms were on the AI side of things. What we needed to do, we totally stayed true to the strategy and where we wanted to go, and we have a real belief. So when you really believe in something, and I say the same to the students going into their exams, when you believe in something, you can fight for it. But something that's really important that we practice in Dimply, and I don't know if enough of this is done, Ronan, and it really applies to students as well. It's kind of mind and body. So like your health, your physical health, your mental health. So for example, taking time out, we call it mind, move and moments, the 3 M's in Dimply. So to be innovative, you need to have creative time. So you need time. You can't be at 100% all the time. You need some time. A little, I'd say the same with students, that they think cramming last minute, but actually their sleep is so important for their brain to focus, because a tired brain is not going to perform its best. So all of those are kind of the same principles we apply in our work life. And I think they're a testament to the innovation awards we're winning, because we're applying the right principles to what it is we're trying to do and what we're trying to solve and who we're solving for. And it all kind of manifests in a very lovely way around, it's just the basic principles of time as a currency and really valuing your physical and mental health.
So there you go. St. Martin has played an instrumental role in the growth of a global fintech firm. Thanks a million there to Jack Dunn from Portarlington, the CEO of Dimply, for joining me there, talking about the Leaving Certificate and really putting it into perspective too. So to everybody who's sitting that exam tomorrow, listen to Jack's advice there as well. If you're a bit panicked, just take a breath, get settled, try to ignore what other people are doing or are not doing around you. Do your own thing, answer your own questions, and trust that the work you've put in will get there in the end. And that message extends to the mammies and daddies and the parents and the godparents and the grannies and granddads and everybody that's there to support people going to the Leaving Cert. Best of luck to everybody. It's not the be all and end all. It's the biggest thing in your life right now. Put the head down, do your best, and there's always ways around these things anyway. What's meant for you will come your way eventually. Speaking of that, my next guest has joined me in studio now. I'm going to take a short break, but after that, you're going to meet a man who on LinkedIn described himself as being obsessed with Himalayan salt, global trade and building brands. Find out who he is and what he does in just a couple of moments.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Still to come this evening, the UK-based startup that has a Tullamore native as its co-founder and CTO, and he's moved from a career in elite engineering into femtech innovation. Find out who and what that is just in a little short while. But also when it comes to cutting your energy costs, did you know you can do so without a major capital spend? Well, the SEAI has just launched a new Easy Wins campaign aimed at helping SMEs save energy costs, and we all know they have been mounting over the last couple of years. So towards the end of the show, you'll hear from their CEO William Walsh about what those grants enable you to do, how you can apply for them, and how they've tried to streamline that process to mean you can get quick access to your money. But before the break there, I mentioned my next guest, who on LinkedIn described himself as being obsessed with Himalayan salt, global trade and building brands. Well, when we go from global trade in Himalayan salt to building a new Irish consumer brand, all from County Laois, Solanti is a start-up with an unusual story behind it. Noel Walsh is here to discuss the launch of Solanti, an Irish-made range of Himalayan salt electrolytes now stocked through SuperValu's Food Academy programme, the thinking behind the product and what it takes to move from an idea and branding to shelf-ready retail. Noel, you're welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Hi Ronan, thanks very much for having me.
And Noel has brought in a couple of boxes of this new product as well. Super looking design, really slick looking product. How did you get into Himalayan salt in the first place from County Laois?
Yeah, so I suppose a lot of it was straight out of school, wanted to do something for myself. How I came on the salt was probably a lot of trial and error, trying different things. Would have seen the pink rocks on farms in the UK and then found someone that I was able to buy the salt off and sell it on to farmers. So over the course of 10 years we developed Animal Pharmacy and a couple of other like agri brands. But I went to UCD and did food and agribusiness management. So through that I always really liked the food side of things.
And what's the use of Himalayan rock salt on a farm?
So actually mineral licks for cattle, sheep and horses. That was kind of where it started. Yeah.
Now I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen them in quite a while, but I remember seeing them a number of years ago. All right. At what point did you start looking at for human consumption then and seeing what products you could bring to market there? Yeah,
so I suppose kind of 10 years in, kind of felt we're at a point. Look, we were pushing to have actual brands even within the agri space. I just felt for business that's what you need to survive, is to have brands. And I kind of wanted to do something in the food. Over the last couple of years, had different ideas, probably have too many ideas, and that's kind of what got me this far maybe. But with the Himalayan salt, I was like, right, I got a couple of mentor sessions with a guy, James Burke, through the local enterprise, and he would have went through different products, different avenues, route to market and stuff like that. And that was a big help to try and decide what should the focus be, who do I want to sell to, and with the salt.
That's interesting that you went to kind of scope out ideas with him rather than going, I have an idea for this particular product, because people probably think that's what an entrepreneur does. They turn up with the idea already. It's good to hear that the mentors can kind of tease that out. Did it take long then to land on the idea of the electrolytes?
Yeah, well, that was probably last summer, and by September I was like, right, I'm just doing something now with the salt. I kind of had an idea with the salt, maybe the food side. Kind of actually one of the ideas was to add kind of herbs and stuff into the salt that for seasoning, kind of just to flavour the Himalayan salt for table salt. But then as it developed, I was like, we can do something a bit more exciting than this. And
I think you told me off air as well that you probably felt that market was kind of saturated in terms of Himalayan rock salt, so you went digging a bit deeper. The health and fitness industry caught your attention then.
Yeah, so like that, sure, look, between like wellness as a whole is really like grown a lot in Ireland. And I guess have actually started taking electrolytes myself in the last 12 to 18 months, but I found a lot of them were quite sugary. And I seen there's a lot of salt in them, so I was like, I wonder would the Himalayan salt go well in the electrolytes.
So what did you do then? Did you didn't start licking one of those licks for the animals and see, did you feel better? And no, how did you go about taking your salt and seeing could you add different ingredients and ultimately come up with this product?
Yeah, so I found someone to work with in Ireland, and that was a key element of this. I wanted to be an Irish brand. Like Himalayan salt is not Irish, but I wanted to be made in Ireland, and from a logistics point of view and even kind of just a production point of view, I wanted something that was Irish. I found someone that was willing to help look at it, and originally we kind of looked at lemon and lime flavour, raspberry, kind of standard flavours, but what I found is like Himalayan salt has that bit more premium to it, so we said, right, maybe we can actually experiment a bit more with more unique flavours.
And the two boxes you have in studio now are natural ginger and clementine flavour and natural lemon and elderflower flavour. So they almost sound like mixers for a gin and tonic, you know, with the word, and we can see what you're aiming for here. What jumps out as well is the 100% Irish owned label on the box as well. A lot of this design though, and the concept for the packaging came through your being accepted into the SuperValu Food Academy. How important is that for someone like yourself who's trying to build a new brand?
Yeah, so the Food Academy really helped me. Like, I probably drove them mad, kind of chopping and changing a bit at the start, but once we kind of got the product that we wanted to go with, I felt that they gave me such great support. We had original brand, but it did look kind of like tea bags, so they actually guided me to a new brand designer and all. They would have had like mentors that have had food business before, help position the product, finance, marketing, all that side. So I felt the academy as a whole has really been a big help. Like,
is it hard to maybe step back or even roll over and accept what they're telling you? Like, or can entrepreneurs maybe be somewhat fixated on their own brand and they know what they think is right versus what somebody with the experience is saying? Is that a hard thing to balance, or do you instinctively trust them?
Well, I suppose probably a few years ago I would have been more headstrong that, I know what I'm at, like this is my business, that kind of thing. But I think one thing I've learned is like some of these people have had brands for 15, 20 years. Like they know what they're doing. Like, they're not like with the academy I just found that they wanted you to succeed, like, and they're willing to offer advice. So like, if you're not going to take on some of their advice, there's no point in staying asking them. And I kind of wouldn't stay going back to the same mentor if I wasn't going to listen to some of what they're saying, And these
boxes have 14 daily sachets in them. Was the sachet size, the size of the box, everything, was that all part of the Food Academy that came from?
Yeah, well, we kind of thought the 14 was a 2-week supply. Probably we are going to reduce it down to a 6-pack, and we have kind of single sachets on the way that people can just buy them, grab and go in SuperValu and Centras. But we'll probably have them in maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time, and that's when we'll hopefully roll out further.
And that's all part of just trying to make them easy to get, part of that bigger brand as well, because it must be quite exciting to see them appearing on the shelves in SuperValus. Yeah,
it is. And look, there's going to be a lot of work about the story behind it, because it's actually not just an electrolyte. We have a full vitamin pack in it. So what we kind of find is the perception with the electrolytes is for people that are just heavily into sport, whereas what we've kind of done is brought more natural ingredients. We have our vitamins. We have 3B vitamins. You have C, D, zinc. You have your magnesium, potassium and sodium. They're your 3 electrolytes.
But, and no added sugar.
No added sugar. Like, what we find is now people that drink a lot of coffee, like busy people, like the idea is maybe take the electrolyte earlier in the day. You're getting 400 to 500 ml of water in as well with it, and I just feel it kind of hydrates you, get you going for the rest of the day.
You mentioned at one point there the accountability too was a big factor with the Food Academy, keeping an entrepreneur in line with that. How do you kind of make sure you can keep a level of accountability, and as you move on then, you've been to the Food Academy, like what's next for Solanti? Who's going to be the next mentor, do you think?
Yeah, so actually lucky enough that there's a couple of people in the Food Academy are still helping me, and they've kind of have worked with me to change the pack size as they probably see that it's a product that could get maybe a more wider listing. So it's actually very good. The Food Academy is actually, they've 3 full-time people 12 months of the year, and once you're kind of working with them, you have access to their resources.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, so it's not just, you don't just cut you loose at the end of it and go from there. I'm sure Dave probably, and yourself, have probably done some computing on the numbers, because that health and fitness market, I mean, there's been a seismic shift in people taking up sports, a lot, what we'd call later in life now, like not in their 30s and 40s. And people are becoming very aware of what the body needs and how to find that balance as well. Does that open up opportunities then way beyond Ireland, do you think?
Yeah, like we have a good bit of interest in the UK already. But I suppose it's managing it and managing the whole forecasting and that. So like that, I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself and take it one step at a time. Like we are probably going to look to try get a distributor in Ireland to maybe open some of the pharmacy space, because there is a lot of hydration products sold there. But I suppose D2C, like direct online, is where we'll probably test other markets first. We're definitely going to try go to the UK probably by September.
Yeah, it's ambitious, not too far around the corner. You have a website set up, it's quite new. Shout out to the address as well for anyone who wants to look up.
The actual website will be probably up in 3 weeks' time, but I built a one-page website, Drink Solanti, so drinksolanti.ie. So I put up seven sachets of each flavour is available online for €1 delivery. I made it last Thursday night in a couple of hours, so it's thrown together fairly well, but it works.
Yeah, but it's typical of you. You're saying the full site's coming behind in about 3 weeks' time. We mentioned accountability there with the likes of the Food Academy and stuff like that as well, but your granny has played a big role too. She was very proud of you recently, was it? You appeared in the newspaper or something.
Yeah, so I like that. I actually haven't seen it, but just like family have been a big help in pushing me on and encouraging, and like that, seeing it in the physical newspaper was nice, because there's so much online now that it's these sort of things that, like, I suppose different people like my mother and father and that, like, them seeing it in the paper probably means more and feels more real than the whole online thing.
Did any of them ever tell you were mad back in the early days bringing in Himalayan rock salt?
Sure, everyone thinks I am still mad.
I don't think so. I think it's not all madness anyway, because again, the branding is really striking, the packaging is there, the need is there. I think the gap in the market, it's Irish owned, it's made in Limerick, Laois based as well. Future's looking very bright.
Thank you.
Where would you like to see yourself in 12 months?
Oh God, well sure. Look, it'd be nice to see it available across the country. And look, I suppose once, like you at this show, once I stay enjoying it and stays growing, that's all I want from it. Like,
absolutely. Maybe Team Ireland at the Olympics now or something.
Yeah.
There's a call. Anyone that's connections there, any of the big athletics clubs around the Midlands, maybe get in touch with Noel as well. Noel, great story. All the very best with it. Noel Walsh from Solanti. Thanks so much for coming in this evening.
Perfect. Thanks, Ronan.
And there you go. Another super Midlands entrepreneur, an entrepreneurial story. And let's watch that one too and see where it goes. Time for another quick break though. After that, we're going to meet a Midlands engineer from Tullamore originally, now based in Bristol in the UK, and is the co-founder of a new product that helps tackle hot flushes, particularly during menopause. That's coming up just next.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
A Tullamore engineer is helping bring a new women's health product to market from the UK with a wearable device designed to offer rapid cooling during hot flushes and night sweats. Aonghus O'Donovan is co-founder and CTO of MyCelsius, a Bristol-based startup whose cooling bracelet combines thermodynamics, wearable design and user-led development. He joins me now to discuss the engineering behind the product, the market opportunity in women's health technology, the business journey from idea to launch, and what the UK startup and funding environment has offered along the way. MyCelsius says the bracelet uses thermoelectric cooling at the wrist and is designed and manufactured in the UK, while his own background spans University of Limerick, Dyson, Formula One and aerospace. And I think earlier I described it as elite engineering. Good evening, Aonghus. Give us a quick snapshot of your career to date, because it sounds fascinating.
Hi, Ronan. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Tullamore man. I went to Coláiste and I studied mechanical engineering at the University of Limerick. I was lucky enough to get a year abroad where I started my engineering career, a placement year in New York City, designing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems for skyscrapers. So that's where I kind of developed my interest in heat transfer and thermodynamics. And then when I graduated University of Limerick, I kind of applied for my dream job at the time, which was Dyson. It's kind of the biggest innovator I could think of in terms of inventing products. And I worked for Dyson for 4 to 5 years, specialising in thermal comfort and thermodynamics and product design. And following that, I moved into working for a consultancy where I designed cooling systems for Formula One and aerospace.
Wow. We won't even ask you to start name dropping then, because I think it's already suitably impressed. So you've given us a little hint there as to maybe where the interest and where the ideas came from. But how did you then take that experience, that education and that design experience, and turn it into the product that now is MyCelsius?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I had obviously, I met my co-founder Maxine, who suffered from anxiety-related hot flushes. There's various causes for hot flushes, whether it be from stress, anxiety, or various cancer treatments, or the big one is menopause. So I met Max and we decided to put our skills together. I had developed 10 years of quite niche skills in designing and inventing cooling products and cooling systems. And so we started doing a bit of research, and we realized that, hang on a minute, the bigger problem here is menopausal hot flushes. This is a huge problem. Every woman goes through the menopause, and about 80% of those, unfortunately, suffer from hot flushes. So when we started digging into the problem, we set our minds to developing something that could cool people down and kind of counteract a hot flush, basically. So, yeah, we started on the journey of developing hundreds and hundreds of prototypes, trying to develop a wrist-worn cooling device that could cool down your wrist and then subsequently stop your hot flush.
Yeah, and if anybody needed any sort of background or any data to put that in context as well, a 2025 menopause workplace article said that around 420,000 women in Ireland are navigating perimenopause or menopause whilst in paid employment. A UCD study from last year showed that 45% of menopausal women have considered giving up work and 12% have actually left work. So clearly you can see there was a gap in the market there and a huge need to try and fill that gap and develop the technology. Did it take long then from concept to prototype to actually getting it onto market?
I'm not going to lie, it did. It was 3 hard years of blood, sweat and tears. As I said, kind of taking it from a sketch on a piece of paper through to producing mass manufacturing products on a production line. There was thousands of tests. We worked with a community of a few hundred menopausal women. For us, the key part of the design process was customer feedback throughout the whole process. So yeah, over about 2 years, we achieved an 81% efficacy rate in our user trials. So we kept iterating. We've kind of got state-of-the-art facilities in our office where we 3D print new prototypes every week and test them out on people. And when we finally achieved over 80%, we knew it was time to kind of stop, put the pens down and release the product.
So all that development, all those cycles as well, because you're dealing with both hardware, software, tech, and combining all them, I can only imagine is intricate and complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then when it came to actually, you're getting some of the validation there, you're getting that customer feedback, you go to turn this into an actual product. What was that journey like? Was there a particular mentor or a group of mentors or a support system that came in then that was maybe pivotal in getting it this far?
Do you know what? One of the key pieces of advice we received was from one of the dragons, from Dragons Den, actually. We weren't actually on Dragons Den. But he told us we were planning on developing an all-singing, all-dancing product that would detect hot flushes and solve them all in one. It would track women's health data like a smartwatch, lots of fancy sensors. And he told us, hang on a minute, you've got a prototype that cools the wrist, stops the hot flush as a result. You should just stop there and release that product. It would probably take about 6 years to develop what you're thinking, and it would probably take a few million euro to do so. So that was probably the standout best advice we received. It was like, when you've got an MVP, when you've got a product that actually helps people, get it on the market. It's the best piece of research you can do, and we're now learning from our customers. We received an absolutely brilliant reception in Ireland. We launched last month in Ireland, and we're getting messages every day from customers saying how the product is helping them, sleep well for the first time in years, and it's enabling them to keep focused at work or not have to leave meetings. Yeah, so absolutely delighted at the minute with the reception that we've received.
That's fantastic feedback or input from that dragon, because it's like the classic, was it to do with Apple? It's all about features, not benefits, or benefits, not features. You might have been focused too much on features at the start. Interesting then, as this develops and scales, will you remain kind of faithful to the cooling aspect of it, or will you eventually try and add in those extra features down the line?
Yeah, exactly that. I think we're already working on it. Like right now, you touch a button and the product cools your wrist by 10 degrees in 10 seconds, sends a signal to your brain, which reminds the body to calm down, to stop the hot flush. But we think there's further benefits to be had in the future if we can anticipate that hot flush. So using various sensors to detect biometrics that will tell us about the lead up of a hot flush, and then automatically activate the cooling plate and automatically get rid of someone's hot flush. So it just gives further advantages of, if someone's asleep, they might not even wake up at all, and this has sorted out their hot flush. And I think there is a growing trend for, health tracking. On one side of the coin, we're quite proud that we've developed a screenless wearable. There's no app involved. There's no data tracking. You hit a button, it stops your hot flush. But on the other hand, we'd like to also offer the option in the future of providing insights on women's health, especially. I think there's a big gap in the market for that, and there's some big players like Apple and Garmin and Whoop, but none of them are really analysing women's health specifically. They kind of provide more generalistic insights from a broader population that are not as useful.
Absolutely, and I'd say many people would welcome the idea or the concept of a product without a screen at the minute too, because everything seems to have a screen now, and the fact that it can do what it says it does. It is available, as you say. It launched in the UK back in October last year, Ireland this year. Tell people how they can learn more about it and maybe place an order if they so wish. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's available on MyCelsius.com, MyCelsius.com. We have a launch offer at the minute, so there's actually €35 off the product right now. And there's just 5 different colour straps you can choose from. Head over to MyCelsius.com if you're interested.
And what can we expect from you over the next 12 to 18 months? Are you going to look further afield in Ireland and start looking right across the globe? Because I'm sure population figures and stats would suggest quite a large marketplace.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it is a huge market, and we've seen great traction so far. So with the initial launch in the UK and an even better launch in Ireland, we're now soon going to open up to Europe. And to be honest, then if you think about the States, then the sky's the limit. The market over there is so much bigger. The funding is so much bigger. A lot more opportunities. We're already getting contacted from a lot of big retailers who would like to stock our product. So I guess it's time to hone in on our strategy and see where we can reap the most rewards, I guess.
Absolutely. No, it sounds fantastic. And again, sounds like there is even bigger and greater things to come as well. Aonghus, thanks so much for coming on this evening, and hopefully we'll see you back in Tullamore soon. You might even visit your old school at some point and talk to the lads there. I'm sure they would appreciate a bit of an input from someone like yourself. Thanks, Aonghus. We'll catch up again later.
Thanks, Ronan. See you later. Bye-bye.
And there we go, highlighting yet again some great Midlands innovation. This time, Tullamore man, now based in Bristol, but developing MyCelsius. And clear need for that. You can see the scale of the market opportunity that's there too, and how interesting it is how it works. Click of a button can cool the wrist, send a signal to the brain, help reduce stress, anxiety and stuff, and reduce hot flushes. Fantastic stuff, and more to come on that. Time for a quick break. After that, find out how the SEAI can help your business reduce energy costs.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
With energy costs still a major issue for businesses, many firms are asking the same question. Where can we cut bills without damaging productivity or service? William Walsh, CEO of the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, joins me now to discuss SEAI's current Easy Wins campaign, the types of savings businesses can make and the grants and supports available for companies across the Midlands. SEAI says it helps businesses of all sizes reduce costs through advice, training and capital grants, and its current business supports include rapid approval grants for measures such as solar PV, building fabric upgrades and heating and cooling improvements. Good evening, William, and welcome to Taking Care of Business this evening. What are the key objectives of this new SEAI campaign?
Thanks very much, Ronan, and thanks for the opportunity to come on to talk to your listeners. First of all, just want to acknowledge the energy challenge that businesses are facing at the moment. We're very well aware of the current issues and the impact it's having on businesses. And I would say we're here to help regardless of the size of your business. Last year in the Midlands, we supported over 200 businesses and helped invested over 2.5 million. They were in shops, hotels, bakeries, bars and restaurants and businesses such as that. We have, I suppose, in terms of how we can help, we have two kind of streams of how we can help. And the first is that we can help businesses reduce their energy use by up to 20% with low or no cost measures. And then after that, we have a range of grant programs with things such as free energy audits, solar PV, insulation. We also have grants of up to 40% for more complex and tailored projects. And then we have a 15-year tariff for biomass heat, for renewable heating. So we have a range of measures there. But if I was a business owner listening to your program today, what I would suggest is to contact us in respect of our free energy audit, which helps. We will send an expert to your business that has industry expertise and energy expertise and can help you understand where your energy has been used and what opportunities exist there too. And some of those opportunities might be, as I referenced already, those kind of low or no cost measures. And as I said, you can get up to 20% reduction in your energy use from that. So they would be my recommendations. That there comes some of the main programs that are available from SEAI. And we are, as I mentioned, we are here to help.
Are you finding that companies are maybe typically unaware of maybe those quick wins and those low cost options that maybe could make a significant difference? Like, it's probably such a big thing for business to look at the entire building or the entire operations, and maybe seems like too large a project for somebody to take on at a certain point. Are we often overlooking those quick wins?
I think so. And when we talk about quick wins, it's a lot of particularly small and medium-sized enterprises. The business owners are really busy running the business during the day, and it's also one of those things that just gets overlooked in some businesses. So it's things like sensor light bulbs that turn off or not in use. Changing temperature set points, putting timers on. Metering and measuring your energy use, and I suppose getting to understand your energy bill and where your energy has been used. But a big one that we find often is just making sure you're on the right tariff for your business. So that's often an area where we see immediate impact for businesses if they speak to their energy supplier and see where it is they're using what tariff, what they've been charged, and potentially there might be options and opportunities there for them. So there's some of the low-hanging fruit, I would describe it as. And surprisingly, there are areas where you'd see opportunities for businesses, particularly if they haven't engaged in a big way in the past.
I've had experience in the past actually of an SEAI audit on a business I worked with, and what really jumped out of that was it wasn't necessarily changing the cladding on the roof of the warehouse that was going to make the biggest savings. It was actually looking at the plant and equipment and seeing where reductions and savings could be made there, as well as a tariff. So again, the power of those audits, it can be huge for any business really, and can be that good, can create that roadmap for them, I guess, to get them on that route to making the business as energy efficient as possible.
Absolutely, and we've found that experience again and again. Another area in which we kind of seen significant interest over the last number of years, as it's become a more the cost of solar actually reducing, has meant that more businesses can take part in kind of installing solar on their roofs. And we've supported in the Midlands. We've supported both Coolrain sawmills in Laois, and we provided a grant of over 200,000 for their solar panels. And then Condren Concrete Works in Offaly received a grant of nearly 100,000 for solar panels. And like with the power of solar and the cost reduction at the moment, we're seeing payback periods as low as 2 to 3 years, with around 5 years, in the average of around 5 years. So what we're seeing there is a technology that really helps businesses reduce their energy costs. And when they're not using, there's also when they're not using the energy that they're generating, there's also an opportunity to export back to the grid and receive payment for it.
It's fantastic to see companies like that availing of these grants and making that move too, because both are traditionally in the manufacturing side of the things and probably were very energy intensive, and this can make a huge difference to them too. So great to have Midlands case studies, because I know there's about over 200 businesses around the Midlands you've supported in the last year with over 2.5 million euros worth of grants. When it comes though to grants and money and funding, most businesses always cast an eye to heaven when they think of the paperwork involved. But SEAI, you've been working on trying to maybe really fast track this process and allow the companies, I suppose, to keep doing the main thing while this is ongoing.
Absolutely. A lot of our programs have that rapid approval. So in the context of solar PV, you can receive a grant approval of up to over 200,000 euros in 15 minutes. We've also, I suppose, what's happened over the last number of years is we've a list of a strong list of registered contractors who adhere to a certain standard, which is really good because businesses know they're getting good quality and when they select from those lists. And I think that rapid approval piece has been really important for us to help business because, business owners' time is limited to running the business. So the time that they can give to, projects like this is the last thing we want is to be adding to bureaucracy or, putting barriers for people because it's really important that people kind of get a hold of their businesses, get a hold of their energy costs.
From your own perspective, are things like these and applying for these grants and making these move towards be it renewables or upgrading building fabrics or reducing the demand or the energy demand from your key machinery, are these now as much a leadership decision in a business or are they still being driven more at kind of CFO level?
I think they're across the C-suite. So business owners, chief executives. I think energy has become such a significant cost, particularly in recent times. It represents a great opportunity for business. So there's no doubt about it. For a variety of reasons, it's come onto the desks of boards and chief executives now, and we've seen that more and more.
I suppose finally, William, for any business owner listening, how can they get involved? How can they find out more? And are there any kind of exclusion criteria that people should be aware of maybe before making an application?
Well, our website SEAI.ie is intuitive to get to us. Come onto the website. We also have kind of a call centre and ring through if the website's not working. We're about how we can help exclusions. If there's an exclusion, we'll talk to you about it, but we prefer people to talk to us rather than been ruled out. And the one thing I would say, the final thing I'd say, Ron, is people who engage with us, they universally have a good experience, and there's always something we can help with or something that we can do. And we try to make it as easy as possible. So I would encourage business owners to get in touch and see how we can help.
Thank you, William Walsh, CEO of the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, there speaking about their latest campaigns to help business owners reduce energy costs. That's bringing this evening's show to a close. Hopefully you found it all useful. The podcast will be available on the podcast section of Midlands103.com from mid tomorrow morning. Just a big, huge thank you to Noel Walsh for bringing in and introducing us to Solanti, his new Himalayan salt hydration product, to Aonghus O'Donovan talking about his product MyCelsius, and to Jack Dunn from giving insights into her Leaving Cert and how to cope. Stay tuned. Joe's here next with Country Roads. I'll talk to you all next week.